Hello everyone. We're going to get started. Ray, can you hear me? Does that sound okay, Ray? Can you hear me? Hello. Hello everyone. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, let's get going. Hi. My name is Lindsay Kennedy. I'm one of the owners of the Black Cat. On behalf of my partners, Dean Malouf, who's over here on my right, and Charlie Conrad, the California Landmark Foundation, the Bill Beaver Project, and the California Department of Recs and Recreation, I welcome you all to the unveiling of the California Historical Landmark number 1063, Black Cat Tavern. Yeah! On what is the first day of LGBTQ plus History Month, we are excited and proud to be unveiling the very first California state landmark that recognizes LGBTQ plus history. Yeah. There are a lot of people here today to thank for making this possible, so I'll do my best to remember all of them as best I can. First of all, thank you, California Landmark Foundation and the Bill Beaver Project. In particular, Kyle Jarrett. Yeah, Kyle! Ray Nahara. Your vision and combined effort have made this day possible, and you'll hear a lot more from them as they'll speak in a few minutes. I'd also like to acknowledge Narit and David Cohen. They are the owners of this property. They have continued their support of the civil and human rights causes that have taken place on this exact site, so thank you. I want to thank Wes Joe and Charles Fisher for your advocacy that led to the Cultural Heritage Commission of Los Angeles declaring the Black Cat a cultural historic monument in 2008 with the city. Thanks also to the support from the Los Angeles Conservancy. Thank you, Adrian. I know you're here somewhere. Adrian Fine. Thank you. I want to thank Daniel Henning, who, there he is over there. Daniel! Friend of the, I would say best friend of the Black Cat. He was also the mastermind, the creator, the producer behind the 50th anniversary Black Cat protest celebration, recreation, and event that day. He produced and created that for us, which was really wonderful celebration. Thank you to PJ Brescia, founder of Baby Gay. They will be co-hosting an event in this parking lot on October 11th for National Coming Out Day. It's going to be great. You can speak with him about it. You can see our website about it, find out about it, show up. It'd be great to see you. Joining us today, I'd like to recognize a few other people. Maybe a girl from Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. City Council member Hugo Soto Martinez is with us. State Assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo. State Assemblywoman Laura Friedman, sorry. State Assembly member Rick Chavez Zabor, I don't believe is here, but he is represented and is presenting with a certificate today, which we really appreciate. Thank you. And the chair of the City Transgender Advisory Council, Karina Samala, is here too. There's Karina. Thank you.
And it's your
It's her birthday. Okay, now, importantly, I want to recognize and welcome our friend Alexei Romanov and David Farah. Alexei's connection with the Black Cat is well documented. Alexei wasn't only a demonstrator in the peaceful protest that happened in this spot 57 years ago, but for the lifetime of our iteration of the Black Cat, Alexei has tirelessly given his time and attention to sharing his first-person account of what happened here on February 11th, 1967. Speaking for myself and Dean and Charlie, and expressing my sincere gratitude and admiration for all that you've done and continue to inspire in us at the Black Cat. You've made yourself available every time we've called on you to share your personal story and wisdom with us, or our staff and the community. You've spoken to hundreds of our employees, and they in turn have shared their experience of you with hundreds of their friends and thousands of our guests. You've touched countless people in this community and beyond, and we're all incredibly fortunate to know you.
Yes.
Alexei, you made the history that is being commemorated by this historical landmark. You've reminded us that despite the hard-fought gains that have been made over the last 50 years in the struggle for LGBTQ+ rights, the fight isn't over. By your example, you've helped us understand that history is shaped by the choices that we each make when injustice calls for support.
Right.
You answered the call for human rights and justice. Your impact is magnified by your passion and your kind, open heart. You've conveyed to us the deep feelings of frustration and anger you felt for being denied your human and civil rights, and the determination that rose in you when you wouldn't be silent anymore. You've helped us to understand how much was at stake for you and the hundreds of others that stood in this parking lot on the afternoon of February 11th, 1967. We're inspired by the pride that you've known for having stood up to be seen and heard in the face of your oppressors. Alexei, thank you so much from all of us. At the conclusion of the speaking part of this ceremony, Alexei will be joining us for the unveiling of the monument on the corner. So, moving on, we have a few more speakers for you today. And at first, I think we'll go with Kyle Jarrett, founder of the Bill Beaver Project and board member of California Landmark Foundation. Kyle, step right up.
Test 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I was happy to hear we got a birthday twin over here. Very nice. Hi, everybody. Yep. I am Kyle Jarrett. I am the paperwork guy for the landmark. I did the nomination for Landmark 1063. Thank you guys. Thanks to all the dignitaries for being here. Thanks especially to California Landmark Foundation, to the State Office of Historic Preservation, to all friends of the Black Cat, especially Alexei for being here and returning to the site where it all happened.
Yes.
Pardon the droopy beaver. All right. I'm not a historian. Frankly, I paid enough attention in history class just to pass the AP exams. I remember the War of Jenkins' Ear, and I remember the defenestration of Prague, mostly because those were weird. But honestly, hold for a second. Our first responders, ladies and gentlemen. So honestly, history class just regularly ran out of time around World War II. So for all intents and purposes, all I knew was that September 2nd, 1945 was the day history ended and news began. So about a year out of college and 3/4 of the way through an existential crisis, I stumbled upon the California Historical Landmark Program. It was a single beige sign on the side of the 110 freeway that said Lummus Home. Maybe you've seen it. Landmark 531 out of how many, I wondered. So I won't get too much into the details of Charles Fletcher Lummis. He's his own landmark, but he did one day put on bloomers and walk from Ohio to California to get a job with the LA Times. And he also founded the Landmarks Club in 1875, which evolved into what is today the California Historical Landmark Program. So, being curious how many more landmarks there were, I picked up Bill the Beaver one day and we started trekking across California to see all the 1,100 and as of today 21 historical landmarks. So the California Landmark Program spans at least about 500 years of recorded history and who knows how many years of unrecorded history, everything before people started writing it down. So that includes everything from Spanish missions to old gold rush mining towns to the Kauai Sioux rock art up at Tomokani and Tehachapi. So this was a different kind of history class. This was an adventure to learn history, unrestricted by curriculum, unrestricted by school year. And to date, after embarking on this adventure, I'm now way more familiar with California history than I ever was in my home state of Utah, which, like many states, has its own landmark program. And because most states have these, keep an eye out on your travels, because you just might spot one. In any case, what never occurred to me as I thought I was at my last landmark, October 1st, 2016, turns out history is still unfolding. And to be considered historic under California criteria, a site only has to be 50 years old. So I need to congratulate everyone here in attendance who has reached the age of historic. We'll talk about your plaques later. So in any case, leading to the present day. So I first learned about the Black Cat back in 2017. I was getting my car fixed down at Jiffy Lube, highly recommend. And I was wandering around Silver Lake and saw this plaque that was placed on the front of the building by the Friends of the Black Cat, circa 2008, the year that California banned gay marriage. And it said this was the site of the state's first LGBT protests. And it occurred to me then that after visiting over 1,100 landmarks, that not a single one mentioned LGBTQ plus history, which was so strange in a state that's known for its gay culture today, that's known for being the home of Harvey Milk and Sir Lady Java. They gave us the golden age of cinema with Montgomery Clift and Rock Hudson, Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo. So if the Black Cat protest was the first, why hadn't it gotten this recognition? And as a gay man from a conservative state, I had my theories. But the reality was so much more mundane. It was just that the same year I learned about the Black Cat, 2017, was the year that the event crossed that 50-year threshold to become recognized as historic by the state. So it turns out that history doesn't end at World War II. Somebody just needed to do the paperwork. So how do you summarize a 6-year nomination project? Well, it took 4 years just to get in touch with the property owner to get the process going. Lots of people don't really take a very eager, well-intentioned beaver seriously. But they do take a California Landmark Foundation very seriously. So I met Ray Nahara shortly after restoring a missing landmark up in Richmond, California. And Ray's got a way with people that I kind of struggle with. So I said, Ray, I'm at the point of giving up. I'm punting this to you. Can you reach out and find someone to give us permission to nominate this landmark? And he did, and it worked out immediately. And so Ray got in touch with David Cohen, the owner of the property, who's a really cool guy. And he said, yeah, absolutely. We're down to give this approval. Roll with it. So then came the research. And honestly, research was just standing on the shoulders of giants. Wes Joe and Charles Fisher, Friends of the Black Cat, did so much heavy lifting to get this place nominated as a historic and cultural monument for the city back in 2008. Their application was online, read through, exquisite. And so really all I had to do was just do a lot of reading, fill out all the forms for the state, and send it in for them to review in their quarterly meeting. That's really what it takes to get a site nominated, is you just read a lot, you write a lot, and you hope your argument holds up under scrutiny. So, let's see, hold on, I lost my place. It happens in public speaking. So basically I learned a ton through all of this, not only about this particular site, but about life as an LGBT person in California from 1850 state founding onward. The state law never really referred to gay or LGBT people in its initial version back in 1850. Those terms came much later. They did use the expression, the infamous crime against nature, which was just vague enough to include cross-dressing and consensual smooching between people of the same gender. So those were the laws that slammed into a New Year's party here at the Black Cat in 1967, but you'll hear about that more in detail from an actual historian in a little bit. So I'm going to fast forward really quick to last year, June 14th, 2022. California accepted the argument that the sacrifices made by those who took part in this protest were of singular importance to state history. California is only the 7th state out of 50 to do so. We got beaten to the punch by Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. So I'm offering up a challenge to anyone who maybe lives in other states, visits other states. If you're in the other 43, you probably have LGBT history sites. Maybe check out your local landmark program, submit a nomination, add your voice to history. So just a couple of things before I wrap up. So here in California, we've come a long way since 1850, especially in acknowledging the contributions made by LGBTQIA+ folks that have made state history. There's still a way to go. So back in June of this very year, vandals defaced 2 lifeguard shacks at LA's unofficial gay beach within 2 days after they were painted with the pride flag colors. Being gay in public still comes with a taste of risk. But we still have stories to tell. Today we cast one of those stories in metal, because history is metal. That metal might be bent and it might be painted, but the record remains, ready to teach an important piece of California history for future generations, and neither vandalism nor a book ban can erase that. So thank you all for taking part in this celebration. I'm going to turn over the mic to Assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Is it afternoon? Yes. My name is Wendy Carrillo, and I proudly represent this community in your California State Assembly. And I had some remarks that I was going to share, but when the ambulance rolled through, Lindsay turned over to me and said, at least they're not coming for me this time. I said, not today. And he said, but they did once. And it was a moment that just reminds me of how far we've come as a community. And it reminds me of a story, of a letter that I just wish to share today about the future that we get to build and why this moment is so important. In the founding of this nation, John Adams went to France to seek funding for the Revolutionary War and wrote to his wife, Abigail. And in this letter, he wrote, my dearest beloved, I wish that I had the time to explain to you how beautiful the gardens of Versailles are, but I can't. I must get back to work. And I must go study politics and war so that our sons have the liberty to study mathematics and philosophy, so that their children have a right to study art and music. That is the foundation of this nation, that no matter where you come from, what you look like, whom you choose to love, and when you choose to love, is entirely up to us, and we get an ability and a responsibility to build the society and the country that we choose. James Baldwin wrote many years ago, we can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and my denial and my humanity and my right to exist. When I joined the assembly in late 2017 and we did our a Pride celebration in 2018, folks were talking about the importance of Stonewall. And I love Stonewall and I love New York, but I love Los Angeles more. We can have Stonewall, but before Stonewall, there was the Black Cat. And so, thank you to the landmark, as well as the organizers and the leadership of the Black Cat, and on behalf of the 52nd Assembly District, it is my honor to congratulate the Black Cat Tavern in recognition as a California historical landmark, which commemorates the demonstration that took place outside the tavern on February 11, 1967, that marked Southern California's first public LGBTQ+ civil rights protest. Thank you for serving as a monumental space in which crucial LGBTQ+ history took place, and for continuing to be a site that cultivates expression, acceptance, and serves the people of this community. And I thank you. And I also think it is prudent and responsible of us to recognize the passing of Senator Dianne Feinstein, who led the way on issues, on LGBTQ+ issues and healthcare when no one else would. And I think it is monumental to remember and recognize those that have come before us, those that are still with us, and all the work that we still get to do ahead. Because right now, in this very moment, LGBTQ+ people, minority communities are in incredible and critical dangers of our erasure just being perpetrated across the country. Just in our community right next door, in the community of Glendale, we had issues related to an LGBTQ+ flag being raised on a school site. We feel that we have come a long way, but we must always remember and stay vigilant that the fight continues, and that we must remember these spaces as holy spaces for which and what they are, and places in which community came together, fought, resisted, insisted, and persisted, and continues to do so across our community. Thank you again for the invitation to join me today. And I'd like to present you.
Look this way, please. Yeah. Okay. Look this way, please, for one. Right here. Right here. Thank you. Thank you.
And right here. Thank you.
Thank you, David. This is my husband. He has been so good to me, and he keeps me going so that I can be here for things like this. He supports me 100%. I wish you all to have as good of a life as I have had, because our community created it for us. And with that creation came a responsibility. And you have to remember where we were and where we're going. And that people are the important part of this. It's not where you stand or who cares about it. But it's who you are in your own head, that you can create the kind of life that you hope will be of interest to people when we're no longer here, because it's got to continue. Otherwise you fall back and you lose. And we don't want to lose this. We don't want to lose people like that. Yes. And we don't want to lose people who just stand in the background because they also support us. And that support is important because it prevents us from forgetting where we came from. Because it was a pretty rough time that we did come. And we all stepped out and said, I'm not going to hide anymore. This is my world, plus yours. And you're welcome in my world, as welcome as you can be, because I love you all. You don't have to be gay, you don't have to be straight, you just have to be you. Thank you. And I want to thank David, because he's my backbone, and he supports me.
All right, next up, following Alexi, Laura Friedman.
Hello, what a great day. What a great day. This is what our community is all about. I'm Laura Friedman, and I've had the honor for the past 6 years of representing this community in the state legislature. And I first want to say something to Alexi and all of the advocates and activists who have fought this fight for so many years. And I want to say you from wearing two different hats. First, as an elected official, I want to thank you for giving a voice to so many in my community and to give power to so many of my constituents to live their best life and to see themselves reflected when they look around their community. And I also want to say thank you, wearing the hat of a mom of a 10-year-old. Because of your activism and your work going back many years, my daughter will be able to love who she wants to love. My daughter will be able to live the life she wants to live. And she also now in her school is able to read materials about all kinds of the people who make up our wonderful community. And she's able to be taught the real history, at least the beginning. We're starting to now teach the real history of California for the first time. And that's because of all of your work. All of us need to now be future activists, all of us, because, as Wendy Carrillo said, in June, at my daughter's school board in Glendale, the very act of just trying to designate June as Pride Month brought out literal Proud Boys and neo-Nazis and white supremacists, ginning up a lot of people into believing that pornographic material was being taught to our kids. And let me tell you, as the mom of one of those kids, I know what she's taught. And there is absolutely nothing pornographic or inappropriate about the diversion and inclusion curriculum that is being taught in our schools. In fact, it's essential. It's essential. So, we all see what's happening right now, which is angry voices trying to divide us, Are we gonna let them divide us? No! Absolutely not. So we are going to make sure that all the voices are heard, all the stories are told, and all the history is taught, and that's because of your work. And this acknowledgement today is such a beautiful part of all of that. So thanks to everyone who made this possible. Woo! I'm proud of you.
Councilmember Hugo Sotomaki.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hugo Soto Martinez, council member of this district. You know, I had my talking points prepared, and then I heard Alexei Romanov speak, and I said, I'm gonna go off script a little bit. You know, when I hear legends talk about what they faced and what advice they're giving us, it just re-inspires me to think about why we do this. and I was almost brought to tears because I looked around and I looked at the group of folks that were here. They're diverse, that are acting from a place of love, of inclusion and family, and that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting from a place of love to build this community. And it made me think about the things that are happening across this country to many folks. They're transgender, gay, doesn't matter, the way they're being treated. And it drives me to remember to always recommit that the fights that we are facing are not finished. That kind of emotions are being acted upon all kinds of communities. And these folks, they don't listen to reason, they don't listen to logic. The only thing they respect is a spirit of protest. It's a spirit of coming together, of solidarity. And so as I'm listening to Alexi and thinking about this historical moment, it just made me tap into the spirit of when they started fighting. And those will be our guiding principles. And so I'm just very happy to be here in solidarity. And just want to say thank everyone. We got a lot of work to do. Everything that people said, we want to echo those. We got a lot of work to do. But remember, we don't fight because or at least I don't fight because I hate the other person. I fight because I love people. I love humanity. I love community. And those are the things that I fight for every single day. So let's keep it up and move forward. I also have a recognition on behalf of the city, but let's end with those fighting words, I think, more than anything. Thank you.
I'm the last one, don't worry. But I do have a little bit that needs to be said. Happy LGBTQ History Month. What a way to kick it off, huh? I'm Daniel Henning, and I'm a neighbor here. For 3 decades, my husband and I have lived around the corner in a house we own together. That sentence seems innocuous. But in 1967, none of that would have been possible. It wasn't even legal. No owning a house together, no living together, certainly no marriage together, and frankly, us being out and proud gay men couldn't really have been possible without risking our jobs and our livelihood. We owe that all to the Black Cat. And those brave souls who fought police brutality and were thrown in jail, and even more so the 500 people who in 1967 risked everything to come to this corner, this very spot, on the night of February 11th and say out loud and in public, enough. We will not accept this any longer. During my time in Silver Lake, I've always known about the Black Cat and its LGBTQ history. That little cat face that sits on top of the sign has always been there since 1966, even though the Black Cat Tavern only lived for a few months. That cat remained sitting there, like the Cheshire Cat of Silver Lake. I always thought of him as our neighborhood guardian angel, looking out for our community and our neighbors and our neighborhood and making sure that the progress we made here in human rights does not regress. He's still here, and so are we. I knew the secrets that little cat held, and I also felt that it should not be a secret. Even in 2017, you never heard about the Black Cat, and most of the discussions of LGBTQ rights and its history, you could find very little about it on the internet. For instance, did you know that Pride began right here, at this very spot? The activist organization put together for that rally in 1967 was called Personal Rights in Defense and Education, PRIDE. And according to the One Archive, it is the first time in the US that Pride was used in conjunction with the queer and trans community. No, really. And did you know that the newsletter created by Pride was called, wait for it, The Advocate? Yeah, that Advocate. The 56-year-old national LGBTQ news magazine. The Black Cat is literally where Pride began. I I knew that most other people didn't know that history, even other LA queers, but I knew they'd want to. So I conceived and produced the 50th anniversary of the Black Cat protests on February 11th, 2017. I did it to make sure the community would get to know the story of the Black Cat, which was the first major LGBT civil rights demonstration in the nation. 2.5 years before Stonewall. What happened here laid the groundwork for all that came after, including Stonewall. But we wouldn't have the true means to have this conversation today if it weren't for the owners of the modern-day Black Cat. These three straight boy allies named their place after the original Black Cat Tavern because they wanted to preserve the history of this location. They have worked so beautifully with the gay community over the last decade. Without a place, brick and mortar, to use as an actual touch point, it's harder to talk about history. Thanks, Charlie and Lindsay and Dean, for keeping the history alive. We momentarily will have a literal touch point in the marker for California Historical Landmark number 1063, the Black Cat Tavern. The work of the California Landmark Foundation was responsible for this designation, and their tireless efforts brought about the first California Historical Landmark representing LGBTQ history. Can you believe that? In 2023, it's only the first? It's because of them. Please give all the money in your pockets to the California Landmark Foundation. SaveTheLandmark.org is where you can see more of their incredible work and give generously. They'll be getting a donation from me. They did this in conjunction with the Bill Beaver Project and the California Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you. And thank you all for coming out today to celebrate this landmark achievement. See what I did there? It's important to celebrate what happened 56 years ago and the rights we've gained since. But we need to fight hard to preserve what we've achieved. We need to resist forces that want to take away our rights. And when I say we and us and our, I'm not talking about just the LGBTQ community. If it weren't for Alexei Romanoff and the 500 brave souls that made the original demonstration happen 56 years ago, we would not be afforded the life we lead today, straight and queer alike. They expanded our rights, all of our rights. Queer rights are human rights. Thank you, Alexei. Finally, I want to leave you with this, and maybe I won't cry. When I sat down with Alexei, and he told me his story of the Black Cat riot and protest, he also told me of an older gay man who he knew when he was a teenager, who shared with him what it was like to be a gay man in the 1890s. That gentleman, whom they called Mother Brian, also said to Alexei, "I'm telling you this so that you are now a witness. You have heard these stories, and now you are a witness to them." And then Alexei said to me, "So understand this, you are now a witness to the Black Cat story, because I've told you. To make sure that we have more and more, now it is your job to share it with others. And that's why I'm here today, to make sure that we have more and more witnesses to the story. Anyone who walks past this corner in the future will now be a witness. You are all now witnesses." Woo! Share this story. Keep our rights protected. Keep our landmark history alive. Thank you for letting me share this with you. Now, there's been a lot of speeches, but maybe you noticed that there's one thing we didn't talk about, and that's what actually happened that night, that New Year's Eve, 1966 to 67. And that's because we don't have to do it vocally anymore, because in just a few moments, you'll be able to read it for yourselves, right here in this corner. So this is going to be a little tricky because of where that is and where we are. Okay, so what we'd like to have you do, if you want to see the actual unveiling, is move to the sidewalks, get as close as you can, but leave the center space open for photographers, etc. And for Alexi to get in there if you want to start moving that way. And then we will do this official thing. Woo!
But you don't want to watch?
Ready? You want to grab that corner for us, Alexi? Pull on it. Okay.
Thank you, family.
Thank you. This is the fourth plaque in 3 years for the California Landmark Foundation. The California Landmark Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to maintaining and preserving California historical landmarks. If you would like information about how you can help us maintain and preserve California historical landmarks, please visit our website, savethelandmarks.org.